different stages. Remember, we had transactions, we had source documents, and from source documents, we went to the subsidiary journals. So subsidiary journals can either be cash transactions or non-cash transactions. So our unit, as you can see here, it says cash transactions. This means that firstly, we are going to talk about the journals whereby we receive cash and we pay cash. At a later stage, we are going to talk about the transactions where we buy on credit or we sell on credit. Okay. But before we can continue with this unit number 4, I just want us to break down all the journals irrespective of whether they are cash or non-cash. So I'm just going to use a blank whiteboard so that I can explain better. Okay. So at the end of the day, guys, I know we are here to talk about the cash journals, but for me, it's advisable to talk about them at the same time. I think they will make sense. So here I'm gonna write cash transactions, and then on the other side I'm gonna write credit transactions. So I want to talk about them at the same time so that when you see them in future, you can know how are they related. Okay, so these are cash transactions, and these are just gonna do this. Yes, now I'm gonna start with the cash transactions just to go through them step by step, guys, so that we can understand better. Okay, so firstly, the first journal that we're gonna have under the cash transaction, that will be called the cash book receipts. Okay, that is the first one that I'm gonna, the cash book receipts. Don't worry if you don't see anything, I'm still writing, it will come. And I've got CBR. So this is the first one that we are going to talk about. Okay, so we have done accounting before, don't be confused. This is the same as this cash receipts journal, the CRJ. So don't be confused and say, what is this? This is what we know. So what do we record under this particular journal? We are going to record all the inflows of cash, okay? Meaning every cash that we receive is going to come here. So just know. So when you read a transaction, guys, make sure that you understand whether you are receiving cash or you are paying cash. So in this book, we only receive cash. Can either be cash from cash from what can I say? Okay, cash from the transactions in the form of capital, sales, donations. You can name them as long as you receive what? Cash. Okay. Don't worry, I'm still gonna go through the slides, so I just want to use these in order to explain better. And again, here, the common source documents, you can find that we are going to issue receipts. Remember, you talked about the source documents before, so it can either be receipts, the cash slip, bank statement, things like that. So this is what we call the cash book receipts. If you've got a question, guys, let me know before I go to the second one. The second one is called the cash book payments, formerly known as the cash payments journal. Don't be confused. Okay, so it's just that our book is using a different way of calling it. Okay, so this is our next one. The cash payment is just the complete opposite of the cash book receipts. Okay, so this one will focus on the outflow of cash. Okay, it focuses on the outflow of cash. So in other words, when we pay cash, we are going to record under what? Under the cash book payments. So I can say the source document that we use here, we use the check counterfoil. Remember, this is just an example. We can even use things like the like we talked about the check counterfoil before, the bank statement. So it depends. So the question will give us source documents are we issuing. Okay. So hopefully so far so good, guys. I believe that if you don't understand, you are going to ask a question. The other one is going to be petty cash journal, and then it will be abbreviated as PCJ. Okay, this is the next one that we're going to talk about. And again, we need to understand the petty cash journal at the end of the day. Okay, the petty cash cash journal, guys, is when we pay for small items. Okay, and then I'm going to explain. And then the voucher that we normally use, what we call the petty cash voucher. So what I like about the petty cash, when we pay out of petty cash, they always tell us that we are paying out of petty cash. Why? Because the cash book payments and the petty cash journal, both of them, there is an outflow of cash. We are both paying in these journals. But when we for small items, we use the petty cash. So any other items, like when we buy vehicles, we buy buildings, things like that, so we are going to record under the cash payment journal. So the difference between the two is the fact that the petty cash journal only focuses on the small items, like if you want to buy envelopes, things for 5 rands, things for 20 rands, things for 50 rands, refreshments for stuff, things like that. But if you go and buy a vehicle, for example, so you're going to record under what? Cash book payments. Let me know if everyone is following, guys. Let me see yes or no. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Attention. Thank you, Ifan. Thank you, thank you. Now, I'm going to go to, remember, these are the cash transactions that we're going to focus on the learning unit number 4. But as I said, I want us to talk about all the journals so that we can see how are they related and how do they differ. Number 4, we are going to have what we call the creditors. Let me start with the creditors journal. And then sometimes we abbreviate it as the CJ. Okay. So you'll see under CJ, we are going to buy items on credit. So when we buy stuff on credit, we are going to record under, let me just write it down, buying or purchasing items on credit. So if you go and buy goods on credit, you will see that you are going to record under the creditors journal. So that's why I say you need to understand the transaction so that you can be able to know whether you are buying on or what? Selling. Remember, I told you before, when you buy, you can only buy from creditors. But I know sometimes people say debtors by mistake. So you must be careful. You can only sell to debtors, okay? So the source document that we normally use here, we normally use what we call the credit invoice. Okay. I hope everyone is following. So the next one that I'm going to show you, which is number 5, I'm going to show you the creditors allowances journal, sometimes called CAJ. Okay. So CAJ, so it means, I'm going to explain it now. This means we are returning items, returns of items to creditors. Okay. Remember, here we bought these items on credit. So sometimes we can return these items back to the creditors. Maybe they don't meet our specifications. Maybe they are not of the quality that we expected them to be. So we have got the right as the customer of that particular business to return goods back to them. The minute we return goods back to them, so we are going to record under what? Under the creditors allowances. So when you see the word allowances, always think about the word return. So we return to creditors. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next one that we're going to have here, we're going to have what we call number 6. We are going to have what we call the debtors journal. Sometimes they just call it DJ. Be careful, not the DJ that entertains you. Okay, you must be able to differentiate, not the one who makes. Okay, so at the end of the day, what do we record here? We record when we sell only goods. Sell goods. Remember, goods sometimes we call them merchandise. No, sometimes we call them stock. Only when you sell this on credit. Be careful. This one I said only when we sell goods. So meaning if you can sell equipment on credit, it won't come to the debtors journal. Okay, be careful. Only when you sell goods on credit, you're gonna come here. Okay. So the 7th one is going to be the debtors allowances journal. Okay. The debtors allowances journal is a situation whereby we allow debtors to return goods back to us. Okay, so sometimes this debtors allowances journal, let me write it here, sometimes called DAJ. Okay, so this one is when the customers return goods back to us. Okay, returns by the debtors, meaning we sold to them, now they are returning. Okay, we sold to them, now they are returning. So we need to understand this logic. Okay, so here we sold to them on credit, and now here they are returning back to us. So we need to understand it. Okay, so this is very much important to understand, because if they give you the transactions, can you see now, some transactions will give us the inflow of cash, others outflow of cash, others for small items, others we buy on credit, others they return to we return to them, we sell on credit, they return back to us. So these transactions, you must know where to go. Okay, but sometimes you will find some of the transactions, when you read through those transactions don't fall within all these subsidiary journals. So they don't fall under cash book receipts, they don't fall under cash book payments, they don't fall under petty cash journal, they don't fall under creditors journal, they don't fall under the creditors allowances journal, they don't fall under debtors journal, they don't fall under debtors allowances journal. They will be recorded in a particular book. That book is called the general journal. So I'm going to write it here at the bottom, and it's going to go through. Okay, I'm just going to general, change the color. So that book will be general journal. Sometimes we just call it GJ. So I want you to understand that this is the book. Can you see the reason why I didn't put it under the cash transactions or under the credit? I want you to tell you to see that it doesn't fall under either of those. So it's just on its own. Can you see now? So this one is when it records transactions which cannot be recorded under the other journals. Transactions not recorded under other journals. I hope you understand, guys. Can you see now? So meaning it is important for you to know which transactions will be recorded under each and every journal from 1 up to 7. So if that particular transaction cannot fall within one of those 7 journals, automatically that transactions will come to the general journal. Okay. So for example, let's say you are selling equipment on credit. Can you see when you sell equipment on credit, you cannot record it anywhere. Remember I said here under data, when you sell on credit, you only record goods. So when you sell equipment on credit, it means you cannot record it anywhere. The only option is to come here under what? Under the general channel. For example, sometimes the owner takes something for own use. For example, if the owner takes cash for own use from the business, an outflow of cash, so it can be recorded under the cash book payments. Can you see now? Because that is an outflow of cash. But when the owner takes trading stock for own use, so there's no way that you can record it in under one of those channels up to from 1 up to 7. The only option, the drawings of non-cash items will always come to the GJ. Let me see on the chat if you are following, ladies and gentlemen. Yes or no? Amen. Hallelujah. Thank you. Let me see before I continue, guys. Thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Now I can go back to the slides because I just wanted to give you an overview, guys, so that you can see what is going on. Okay. By the way, you can still come back to this video, record it here, and then you can still go and check. Sometimes you miss it when we are busy, talking, so we can even go back and check this. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to the slides, guys, just to continue with our slides. Okay. So I'm going to find the slides quickly, and then we proceed. We proceed. Yes. This is our slides. I'm going to go through them, guys. Yes, honestly speaking, guys, I covered everything, but it's just that I'm going to go through the slides one by one. Okay. Like I said before, guys, the first one that I'm going to focus on, remember this unit is all about the cash transactions. In other words, I'm going to focus on the cash book receipts, the cash book payments, and the petty cash. So here I just tried to give you examples of the transactions that you can record in the CBR. So these examples, guys, as you can see, you are receiving cash here. So you are just receiving cash. So don't worry about it. Can you see? If you don't understand any one of them here, these are just examples, guys. You can find different transactions as long as you know that you are receiving cash. Remember, I said this is all about the inflow of cash. Yeah. So this is very much important. So it is up to you. You need to know whether you are receiving or not. If you don't have a question, guys, I'm going to continue now. Now, let me talk about the format. Remember, you are lucky, guys. They will give you the formats, when they give you the formats, at least you can just populate, okay? But for me, when I did my accounting long time ago, okay? So we used to draw this by ourselves. You know that you just draw, there's no format. But yes, I'm going to show you how to do it so that we can understand better. So I'm going to make sure that I'm very slow on this one, just to explain the columns. Now, firstly, we have got doc number. The doc number stands for document number. This is where we put the receipt numbers. For example, if you issue a receipt has got a number. So that number will come under the document number. This is a day column. This column, like you can see, is the column for days. The 1st, the 2nd, the 25th, something like that. Okay? Now, we have got what you call the details. So the details will be the source of funds or the source of cash. Here we put the source. We put where did we get cash from? Let's say Sylvester gave you a cash of 5,000. So you are going to write Sylvester under what? Under the details. If you're lost, guys, let me know. Now, let me skip the analysis a bit. I'll come back to it. Okay. Now, bank. Like you can see here, I wrote main column. Remember, here we are receiving cash, meaning whatever we receive, that amount of money must go to the bank. That's why I call bank the main column. Why do I call it the main column? Because all the money that I'm going to receive in this book will come to the bank account. By the way, bank is an asset. So if I'm receiving cash here, it means that bank will increase on the debit side. That's why I wrote debit side at the bottom. You don't have to write it. It's just for me so that I can understand better. Now, as you can see here, we have got sales. So in other words, when we sell goods, remember when we did our account equation, we have got sales. So if you sold, that sale must come to this column. And then if that sale, remember you need to calculate VAT. If you're a VAT vendor, you must calculate and you must record under what? Output VAT. So remember, output VAT is the VAT that is payable to SARS. It's the VAT that we collected from our customers when we made these sales. Can you see that? So these sales will be used to calculate the output. Debtors control, remember, sometimes debtors will give you money. So when you receive money from debtors, you're going to record in this column. But don't worry, I'm going to show you with an example so that you can see how do I record. Now, can you see here I've got the details of sundry. Sometimes we call this column the sundry account. Sometimes you can find that you received money and when you check, you don't have that particular account. For example, let's say a tenant gives you a rent. We call that rent income. So if you check here, there is no column for rent income. So these details of sundry is catering for those accounts which do not have columns here. For example, if I've got rent income, under details, I'm going to write rent income, and then under the amount, I'm going to write that amount of rent. Okay, so in a nutshell, the details of sundry accommodates those accounts which do not have columns. So if I've got sales, I cannot come to the details because I do have a column for sales. I'm going to record under sales. But if I can have rent income, commission income, so I'm going to use what? Details of sundry because I don't have a column here. So I think I can better explain by using an example now. Okay, let me use. Please, you can ask a question if you're lost. I'm just going to give you a simple example. Let's say on the first, the owner, let's say the owner is Sylvester. I'm going to just write so here. Contributed 5,000. 5,000 to the business. Just a simple transaction. Yes, so that I can just show you how to use this. Now, remember here, I'm just showing you how to use the format. So it can be tricky by the time when we go and include VAT. So don't worry, I'm just talking about the simple way. Okay. Now, let's check here. As you can see here now, check. The owner, Sylvester, contributed 5,000 to the business. This is like account equation, guys. I know that we're not dealing with account equation, but I'm sorry, I cannot leave you like that. Please give me the two accounts if I asked you to deal with account equation. I'm giving you a few seconds. Please give me the two accounts involved. Let's say this was account equation. I gave you these transactions. What are the accounts involved? Two of them. Only the accounts. Waiting. I'm waiting, ladies and gentlemen. Two accounts, please. Capital, capital. Give me the other accounts. Capital, capital. I agree. And bank. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate. Okay, I do appreciate this. So now, this will help us a lot because already I know which columns am I going to affect. I know already. Okay, let's go and record. Firstly, let me change the color for us. So the document number, let's say for example, I issued a receipt. Let's say the receipt was REC1. I'm just giving an example. So here I didn't write the receipt. Let's say the receipt was REC1. So obviously this REC1 here was supposed to be written here. Let me just put it so that you can understand. So let's say the receipt was REC1. So the receipt will be given to you. If it's not given to you, don't worry. The date will be the first. Okay. The source will be Sylvester, because Sylvester gave you that cash. Let's say, for example, they just said the owner, you don't know the name of the owner. You can just write cash here. You can write cash. Are we together? Don't worry about the folios. Folios, I'm going to talk about them after. So now we must ask ourselves, what is this 5,000 for? That is 5,000 is for capital. So you must check, is there any capital account here on the columns? We don't have capital account. So we're going to come and use what? The sundries and say capital. I'm just going to abbreviate, guys, because of space. I'm going to just say capital here. Can you see? I put capital under details. Okay. Now, what is the amount of capital? The amount is 5,000. Can you see now? And remember, this amount of 5,000 must be transferred to the bank. But before we can transfer to the bank, we need to go to analysis. I'm going to explain what is the analysis column. So before you can explain, as long as the amount is not directly transferred to the bank, if they say the amount is directly transferred, is then that you're going to put it straight into the bank. But if they just keep quiet like this, you just have to go to the analysis of receipts. So what is the analysis of receipts? Analysis of receipts is a column which will add all the figures which took place on the same day, all the transactions. So it means if I can receive 5 amounts on the same day, I'm not going to transfer them one by one to the bank. I'm going to add them together and transfer a single amount to the bank. But I'm going to give you an example thereafter. Okay? So, because this is the only transaction on this day, according to my example. So to show that this is the only transaction on this day, I need to make sure that I underline this. Can you see? I underline 5,000 because this 5,000, this is the only transaction on the same day. But let's say on the same day, I only received 2,000 here. I was supposed to wait till I receive 2,000, I record it here, and I would underline under the 2,000. And it's then that I will say 5,000 plus 2,000 before I can go to the bank. But now I am at liberty to go to the bank now. Why? Because that is the only amount that I received on that day. So I'm going to have 5,000. You see now? So this is how we record. I'm just showing you how to use the columns, guys. Account equations, elements are still there. Account equation, why do I say accounting elements are still there? Because I have got capital. I know that I'm going to record capital and I'm going to record in the bank. Can you see now? Account equation is still there. So I want you to understand what is the main function of the analysis of receipts. It will check whether the transaction is the only one on that day. Let me see yes, no, hallelujah, amen on the chat. To show that we're on the same page. Thank you very much, Miriam Hortensia. Thank you, friend. Thank you so much, so much, so much. So far, so good. So far, so good. Okay. I'm just gonna give you. Thank you, Kalindi. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I just wanna check now. Okay. What if, let's say, on the first, I also received 2,000? Okay, let me just come up with the transaction. Let's say on the first, I'm gonna use the same. I'm not gonna erase because when I erase, the whole thing will disappear. I'm not gonna erase anything. I'm just gonna cancel what I don't need. So I'm just gonna show you what if, let's say on the same day, the first, say sold, let's say sold goods cash 2,000. Let's say on the same day we sold goods for cash for 2,000. Okay. Yes, the first transaction will be like that, but something's gonna change. So I'm not gonna have this 5,000 anymore here in the bank because I'm trying to change the question. I don't want to erase, guys. VC, when you erase the whole thing, I must rewrite. Yo, I'm lazy to write again. Now, you were supposed to record everything up to the analysis, and thereafter you're supposed to come back and say on the same day, you don't have to write the day again, but if you want to write it, it's okay. On the same day, because you made sales, you can say sales here, or you can write cash sales, it's up to you. And then now I've got column for sales. Under sales, I would write 2,000. You see now? And then I will go and record under analysis of 2,000. Okay, can you see now? Remember this line, this red line doesn't exist anymore. And I don't know how to cancel it, but it doesn't exist. Ne? So just ignore this red line. So because they took place on the same day, you were supposed to come here, okay, and underline after the 2,000. Can you see now? You wouldn't underline under the 5,000. You will underline under the 2,000 because they took place on the same day. And thereafter is then that you will add them together. 5,000 plus 2,000, you will have, or you would have 7,000 under the bank. Let me see yes or no. Do you understand what I just did? I hope you are following, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm just trying to show you what if we had a single amount and what if we had, yes, Tobeka, be specific. Where do you want me to explain? Please, Tobeka. Where do you think you are lost? You can even use the audio or you can write. It's up to you. My apology, guys. I don't know what happened. It just went off. I don't know. You hear me now, guys? Because I just went off. I tried to punch the. Okay, thanks very much. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Tobeka, please, can I help you, Tobeka? Because I was trying to explain to you. Let me know, Tobeka, where I can explain to you. Like, just tell me where you're lost so that I can exactly explain to you. Which part do you think you still struggle with, Tobeka? Okay, I guess Tobeka is also off. I think is also off. So, because she can't hear me. Okay, guys, any question, guys, before I continue? Okay, I get you, Tobeka. I said, okay. Remember, this 2,000 we sold on the same day when we received 5,000. Okay, so we sold goods. So that's why I wrote 2,000 under sales because we sold goods. So that is the sale that I received. And remember, like the first one, I have to transfer to the analysis of receipts. Normally, remember, we were supposed to say, okay, we were supposed to see 5,000 under bank and we were supposed to see 2,000 under the bank. But we can't do that because they took place on the same day. We just have to add them together, 5,000 plus 2,000, because they took place on the same day. And when we go and deposit them at the bank, we are going to deposit how much? 7,000. It's like at Varsity College. Let's say, for example, you pay Varsity College at the counter. Let's say you pay them 50 rands. And then let's say someone else paid them 20 rands. I cannot go to the bank and bank 50 rands. And when I come back, I take 20 rand and I bank 20 rands. No, I will add 50 rand and 70 rand. So in the bank, you're going to see how much? 70 rands instead of 50 and 20. The same applies here. I received 5,000 on the first. I also received 2,000 on the first. So all in all, in the bank, I will see 7,000. I won't see 5,000 separate from 2,000. Tobeka, does that make sense? So I'm just trying to show you how does this analysis of receipts works. Thank you very much, Tobeka. Thank you very much. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I'll move on and then just to discuss something else. Guys, here I just tried to explain, is what I explained before, so you can go through this at your own spare time, guys. Go and check, and it's what I explained before, okay? Like this analysis of receipts. For more information, you can go and check on the slides, okay? Let's not waste time on it. Again, I'm explaining the sales and everything, guys. Again, you will understand by the time when we start recording, okay? And I'm explaining the columns. You know, a man of my caliber takes time to write these notes for you guys. Please use them. Use them, please. I try by all means to explain, because I can explain to you. Sometimes you need to see some writing, okay? And then cost of sales. Don't worry, we're going to talk about this stuff when the time comes. So for now, I just want you to know, how does this thing look like? Now we focus on the cash book payments. Just to explain, just to rectify something, guys, I just made a mistake here. I just realized that I made a mistake here. So this is not, it must not be cash. It's not cash. It's not dividends received here. This is dividends paid, okay? Expense. So it's the mistake that I made. Paid. We can just say expense. Okay. That's the error that I made. So I didn't change that. So this must be dividends paid. So as you can see, these are the examples. Like I said before, cash book payments is where we have got the outflow of cash. Remember, I said so. It's where we talk about the outflow of cash. Okay, so as long as we pay cash, can you see examples here? We're buying stock, we're paying creditors, we are paying our expenses, we are buying the assets for cash. Can you see all these things? Cash is going out. Drawings of cash only. Can you see? These are just examples of the transactions. Okay. This is how the cash book payments looks like. So this is similar to what we just did. The only difference is the fact that we don't have analysis of receipts. Can you see this one? When you record something, you go directly to the bank. Okay, you just have to go directly to the bank. Remember, here it means cash is going out. So if I can ask you what to write at the bottom here, under the bank here, you will have credit, because when you pay cash, bank will decrease on the credit side. So what I like about this one, the minute you put credit under the main column, it means the rest will be the opposite. Can you see now? So meaning the rest will be debit. The rest will be debit. This will last by the time when they say we must transfer to the ledger account. Remember, everything is going to be the debit sheet. Can you see now? So as long as you know the main account, if you know the main account, everything's going to be okay. So I'm not going to explain these columns again, because just ask, okay, this one, maybe this one, because they call it something else. This one, the payee is the same as details. Don't be confused. Just that they call payee under, let me just do, it's the same as the details, guys. So details, so don't be confused. So payee is the same as details. Okay, any questions, guys, about this one? Because the way to use it, and again here, the main column here is the bank. So the bank is the main column. Okay, bank is the main column. So you'll see everything that you record here will end up going to the bank. So what I like about the CBP is not like analysis, the CBR, where you have to check the analysis before you go to the bank. Here we go to the bank directly. Can you see? This can be very, very easy. Shanley, I can see Shanley here. I think maybe you joined, I don't know, because we talked about not being able to. Can you hear me, Shanley? Can you hear me, please? Let me see. Yes, yes, yes. Shanley, can you hear me? Okay, everyone, do you have any question on the cash book payments, guys? I can give you an example now. Let's say we bought goods for cash, 4,000. Just an example, okay? Let's say the date was, I'm just gonna come up with any date. Let's say the date was the 5th, and then we issued a check. For example, a check can be CHQ. They will give you a check number. Let's say CHQ1. They will give you a check number. The date, let's say, is the 5th. Okay. Details is the payee. Bought it. Let's say you bought it from Macro. Okay. So you're gonna write Macro here. Okay. And then you bought. What did you buy? You bought goods. Remember, goods are what? Trading stock or trading inventory. So you're supposed to come here. I said for 4,000, eh? So I'm gonna say 4,000 and see, because I've got a column for trading inventory, and I'll go to the bank and just say what? 4,000. Just like that. Easy, like VC, as you can see. Check this one. You can see here. So please ask me a question if you're lost. And again, we use the sundry accounts if we don't have a column. Can you see now? If you don't have a column for something, let's say for example, I've got wages. I don't have wages that on the here on the columns here. I will use wages here, wages, and I'll put the amount and I transfer to the bank. Again, guys, I tried to explain the columns as you can see here, guys. Please go and look at them at your spare time, and you'll see that they will make sense. I'm explaining, in detail, so that when you do something, if I'm not there, you know what to do. But remember, we're still gonna involve VAT thereafter. For now, I'm just showing you the use of those columns. So don't stress that much. And again, I'm explained. For example, can you see now things like that? Okay. So the last one that I'm going to talk about, we call it petty cash. Remember I said petty cash is similar to the cash book payments, but here we only pay small items, okay? And again, as you can see, the formats are similar. And again, here, remember we are paying here. So it means this one, details, you can see we've got details here, and then we've got petty cash, and petty cash is the main column under petty cash. Remember, under the CBR and CBP, the main column was bank, but under this one, the main column will be petty cash. This will help us because we know that whatever we're gonna record here, everything will end up in this column, okay? But remember, petty cash is an asset. So if you are paying out of petty cash, it means your petty cash will decrease. So here we are going to have a credit because petty cash is an asset, and when you pay out of petty cash, the amount will decrease. But if you don't know what are these ones, you can do the opposite. These ones are going to be debit because stationery is an expense. It increases on the debit side. Refreshment and expense increase on the debit side. Input and asset increase on the debit side, and all the other items that you're going to record here are going to be on the debit side. Can you see if you know the main account, and you don't know the other accounts, whether it's a debit or a credit, I'm telling you it's going to be very easy. And this one will help us by the time when we go through our general ledger. So it's going to help us to know where to go. So already I know if they can ask me to open petty cash account, I know that I'm going to record on the credit side of the petty cash account. If they ask me to open a stationary account, I know that I'm going to record on the debit side. Staff refreshment on the debit side. Input vet on the debit side. Can you see? This helps a lot. So don't take this for granted, ladies and gentlemen. Any questions on the petty cash, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, no, no, yes, no, no. Let me see. Let me see. Do you understand? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. I appreciate, ladies and gentlemen. I do appreciate. Okay. And again, guys, I did try to explain again at your own spare time. Go and check the notes, guys. Very done nicely for you guys. Colorful, as you can see, a man of my caliber here trying to show colors. You know that I thought maybe if I can be colorful, you guys you'll be able to understand. You know that. So please go and check these notes, guys. Very, very important. Okay, so this is the next unit that I'm going to talk about, but no, I'm not going to talk about this ones, guys. I think we must end where we said questionnaires. So what I explained up to so far is the learning unit number 4. It is complete. The only thing that is I'm gonna show you is how to record. I'm gonna take an exercise next time and record it so that you can see how easy this can be. Thank you very much, guys. If you don't have any questions, and have a great one. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it once again.